these psychological processes are undermining judges' abilities to provide fair and rational sentencing. Judge Mark Bennett is a former U.S. District Court judge in the Northern District of Iowa. He wrote an article entitled Confronting Cognitive Anchoring Effect and Blind Spot Biases in Federal Sentencing, a Modest Solution for Reforming a Fundamental Flaw. Judge Mark Bennett describes this as a cognitive bias that causes court officials to refer to previous practices and rulings to determine adequate sentencing without considering the totality of circumstances surrounding a case. This can be particularly potent in cases that are not exactly black and white and require a further close analysis to determine the adequate sentencing. The consequence of this is that judges can make serious mistakes in decision-making, judgment, and reasoning that will cause sometimes an undeserved sentence. Recent studies have highlighted personal bias as a key factor in the use of judicial discretion. However, this new analysis builds on this conversation as an additional and overlooked influence on the use of discretion among public officials. Today we're going to talk about two influences on judicial discretion in sentencing process that have yet to be addressed in the current literature. Both of these influences must be cognitively understood by decision makers in order to appropriately construct sentencing in a fair and just manner. First, let's assess the anchoring effect. Anchoring is defined as a cognitive bias that describes the human tendency to adjust judgments or assessments higher or lower based on previously disclosed external information. This external information is known as the anchor. An example of this anchor, relevant to our previous studies, would be a judge's prior opinion on abortion for minors when conducting a bypass hearing. Here, the judge would rely on their personal opinion to shape their further judgments and rulings on the subject. They may give preference to this as opposed to considering the totality of circumstances surrounding the minor in the proceeding itself, even though they should be determining whether a minor is well informed enough to make the decision herself or if it is in her best interest. This study finds that while more experienced judges are equally susceptible to the effects of anchoring as novices, they feel more certain about their judgments. Mark Bennett's study concludes that judges are not insulated from the effect by their specialization and expertise. Additionally, judges are equally affected by another cognitive bias, the blind spot bias, which allows them to see bias in others, but not in themselves. This article has enabled us to see that a judge's official use of discretion is influenced by a multitude of factors. It's not just their personal opinion, political ideology, social and economic status, but also anything that they've ever ruled in the past.